Good morning, everybody. Ace of Trades here for Tuesday, March 10th. And the Bible says in Psalm 106, verse 1, Praise ye the Lord, O give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. All right, today's pretty simple to set up your chart. Overnight lows down here, overnight highs up here, and we had a couple pushes down. That's pretty clear. Break new low. Try to push up above the EMA, and now we're just chopping sideways in a looks like a little range here, waiting for the open. So not much else to say right now. There's no news we have to worry about today, and I'll be back in a little while. All right, let's do a little update here. So we were in this area at the end of the last video. First leg up, we made a second choppy leg up. We pushed down through. I was looking for something here to get in to, thinking this is going to at least push down and make a new low. If we get a decent correction, didn't really get anything. You just kind of chopped sideways, pushed down. So you got like one, two legs down. This tried to push up then in reverse, but just got choppy and failed again. And then we tried to reverse again, and I was looking for something here that started printing very cleanly. So I was looking for something here, one leg. I was looking for like two legs here, and if we made a new high and then printed a nice bar, I was looking to go short there, but it never did that. It just pushed up real strong through the EMA, so I wasn't keen on taking this because at that point, then you have to be concerned. All right, is this little move down here kind of broke and made a new low? So you have to look at these like maybe on different levels. You're also approaching, overnight support, and you push past. Maybe even if you look at this entire move as on a bigger picture as the trend down, and then this is your break, and these as your pushes to a new low. Now you've made a new low for this, so you have to be concerned once this starts ripping higher up through the EMA. You can see how much stronger that move was than anything else that you have in here all the way back to here. Now you have to be concerned, is this going to bounce, start trying to reverse on me and go higher? So you don't want to short there into the EMA. But if this had kind of tried to poke up and failed down through, and it was kind of two legs there, I'd be okay with doing that. Um, but this just pushed up way too strong for me. Fell back down, and now we're in an area where we have to be careful because we are into these overnight low areas, and you have to be thinking that prices may want to hold here and you know bump up potentially. So be careful of taking any pattern shorts in here, like a setup for this. I probably would lay off a setup for this to make a new low, um, because of that. On a bigger picture, you've got support here, and people may just there's traders that trade all kind of different ways, and there's people that will just they'll look at support and they'll just start buying at support. Um, so you may have other types of traders that are buying here that are trying to take this higher off this support level. So you just have to be careful about any kind of little patterns that set up um, I guess contrary to maybe what might be going on from a bigger standpoint. And now you kind of have like one here's your downtrend. You have one leg of correction, two legs. This isn't a good signal bar. It's an inside bar. This is the high of the swing. So this is technically like your signal bar because it's the high of the swing. So this is an inside bar that you'd be entering on. And you can see how prices are trying to push up through there. I don't know, these guys, if there's people entering there, they may get trapped, or, sometimes bars don't even print the same on different charts. If you've watched different people's charts, you may say, hey, my bars aren't printing the same as so and so's. And so maybe they got a nice bar right here to try to enter on. That's really pushing up on them right now. So, never know. You're down here at the lows, so any kind of those little patterns may fail on you as prices are trying to bounce off the lows here. But we'll just watch it and see what we can get. Okay, so this is why it's not a good idea to short patterns into bad context. You can see that prices were just found support down here at this level, and now they just ripped back up through. So, we've cleared up past this level where they shot down. We've cleared this level and these levels where you've had some selling come in to push it down. So definitely thinking long here if we can get some kind of pullback and a setup to take another leg up, and who knows, maybe we could even try to ride a runner up to the overnight highs. Um, Definitely would be watching for at least into a measured move level. Um, so that's what I'm keeping an eye on. All right, so just an update here at 11. So we end up running the whole way back up to the overnight highs here, and there's not really any kind of good corrections to get in on. There looked like there's something going to be here, but it just was too strong and just folded over into kind of a less steep range. Bounced off the EMA with nothing to get, and then we pushed up here into the overnight high. So I don't know that I take a low or a high here because of the way that this is printing. It's all very there's a lot of tiny little bars. So an overnight, I'm sorry, a lower high here might just be like a little fake out, as all these little bars are kind of overlapping a little bit and just pushing up pretty. This just looks very strong right now. So I probably would wait and see if we kind of just petered out here and started pushing back down. Because there's nothing, like, you can't even really grasp any clean measured moves to look at. You could be like here and then here, but that just gets you to there in the middle of nowhere. We're going to assume now that prices want to push up at least to these overnight highs. So yeah, just kind of been waiting, sitting and waiting. Because the way this is pushing up, very very strong with very few corrections, a lot of little bars here. You just want to wait for more confirmation that this will want to come down here at this level, um, because the way this just keeps breaking, making another high, and maybe you could look at this as a leg, and this is pushing up. It's just not reversing how prices normally would, and maybe perhaps that's just a function of the bigger structure is a range here for now. So you can see here now we hit this level, so we're starting to get uh, the largest selling that we've seen so far, but we'll have to see how this reacts to here. If this bounces and keeps going higher, then you just have to you're in a bad area here for uh, just anything because of the way the prices are behaving. They kind of look kind of strong, but again, you're to a level of resistance that formed overnight. So, and then once you even push up here, then you have to be worried about a range fade. So it might be some time before, if prices are reluctant to push down here, it would be a little bit of time here before I would be willing to get in with a long and go with this, especially because I can't even find any good structures to form. Like if this was all in like a nice channels, we're pushing all the way up and we just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, then you have something to trade off of. But this is just kind of big legs with little bars, um, kind of overlapping, real stemmy. But it looks like now it wants to try to push down. So, hopefully this is going to play as just a range for the day. And if we get some nice selling back down in here, then I'd definitely be looking for, a short to go with as we come back down into the range. But that's what I'm looking at right now. And I'll be back again in a little while. All right, so I flipped over here 4,000 tick chart, so it's easier to see this. So this kind of looks like, now that we've pushed down here and we've pushed down here, this kind of looks like this is maybe a two-legged break for this entire move up. So we could be trying for a new high here on this. And, so we'll just have to see what happens off of that. That's really what you're kind of waiting on. You can even see it over here on the 2000 tick um, there. And then we push down and we can't push back here. So, we really didn't, this isn't really what you want to see. It's because it's just not really nice for trading. What you wanted to see was you wanted to see prices just zoom back down here because now you know that you're likely going down again. You didn't want to see this little kind of move here and pop back up and little, you know, jagged move down here and pop back up. Now it makes it very difficult because yes, you can see that this is potentially pushing up for um, a new high for this bigger structure, but we can observe the bigger structures, but it's not really we don't really often like to trade them because of the size stops um, that you're carrying. You try to keep them rather small, and so if you're wrong and it's not when you're trading bigger structure and you're wrong about it and it doesn't actually push up for a new high, then you're typically going to be carrying a much bigger stop because you're trading on a much bigger structure. So that's just kind of what we're looking at right now. Um, a higher low off this, maybe think about that. I wouldn't typically take that just because again, you're trading bigger structures. So are you missing something? It's much easier to take trades off of the smaller structures than ones that are much bigger. But that's what you're looking at. I think this would probably work. I don't normally take these. This looks like, one leg, two legs, and we tried to push it back down, and now we're pushing up again. But again, that's a 4 point stop you're carrying there. But it does look like this wants to retest off this, so that's probably a good trade there. But just wanted to point out the larger price action. If you learn to see it and you're comfortable with it, that's up to you whether you want to try to trade it. I usually try to trade the stuff that is more clear on the near term than trying to trade this as a bigger I guess two-legged break. So um but there we go, pushing up for the new high and then you just never know what this wants to do. I mean, when you're into this overnight high still, so you have to be concerned about once this, like all structures, once this makes a new high for this big structure, then you have to be concerned about it wanting to fade and prices trying to reverse. But on the other hand, too, when you get um, a two-legged break off a trend, now this one is kind of difficult to see at this time frame because of how choppy it appears to us on a 2000 tick. But when you get a two-legged break um, off a trend, sometimes it wants to go up for a second leg. So, but again, with how choppy this is, that's going to appear to you to be very choppy, probably as it does that, if it does that. Now here we have achieved this new high, and we have selling coming in now. So, the hope here to me is that this is played out to the upside, and prices want to come back down here in the range finally. So, when you have the competing contexts here, you can't really see it at the on the smaller picture. So even if this had come down here, I mean that could still happen. But now that this is kind of played out in this fashion, you can now see how this was all one move up and this was a two-legged break, and there's your new high. So we just have to wait and see. The ideal thing here for us would be that this just rips back down into this range now, just easily pushes through this level where the buying came in, and then we can try to get in on something as prices fade down here. What's going to be more difficult is if prices start struggling again to push down, and then we start chopping up and pushing down, chopping up and pushing, because then it becomes real difficult to decide which direction this is going to go. Is it going to make, another leg up and then fade? So sometimes when you have these bigger structures playing out, it takes a lot longer for you to find setups because it takes a lot longer for the even bigger structures to develop for you to find and see to find good find good trades. So anyway, that's just what I saw there. If I had not been talking through this as this develops, perhaps I'd have taken that. But again, I don't really like to take entries on bigger structures because sometimes you're wrong in your reads because they are larger and I guess more difficult to read is what I'm trying to say. Okay, do an update here. It's about 1 o'clock. So I think we were right in this area. We hooked up here, we made a new high and started pushing down. Um, we made this leg up, pushed down again. So I'm looking at this as like a move down that's trying to, you could maybe get a reversal here if this, um, and I guess it kind of did play out as a short-term reversal because you get this, you get one attempt, two attempts up, or I guess you should say it's a downtrend, one attempt, two attempts, but I don't want to short right there. I'm looking for this to finish a little bit higher up, more relative leg of correction to this, because this looks like, you know, how price action is layered. This leg, because we only went up to here, maybe this makes a second leg up to match this leg, and so I don't want to get trapped here. I was looking for something with a little bit more relative correction with respect to that, how that corrected. Then we pushed down, and then I was kind of thinking, okay, maybe we failed to push up here. Maybe we're getting a stronger push down. We do get these two legs up, but I don't like how prices are now already pushing back above the EMA. Um, when we spent the whole morning pushing up here into the overnight highs, and now we barely push back down, 15 points or something in an 80-point range, and we're already pushing back above. So that's an aggressive one, I would say, because you do have two legs. This is the bigger push down, but you know, you, maybe prices are flipping around here. Um, so there is room to that. I just don't like it very much. I mean, if you draw your trend, that's fitting pretty good. If this would happen to bounce here, you have room to it. And now after that, we just get exactly what we don't want to see. Just prices chopping higher without any real way to identify what's going on. Um, so now you have this range, but you have a bullish imbalance now that the range has formed. It looks like prices are reluctant to want to fade back down, and now they may go up, but it's difficult to find something that fits very well. If we draw something like that, I suppose that's fitting okay at the moment, but you only have a couple touches down here. And because we are at the overnight high and prices can still, so this range can still recover, which is you want to see basically um, to have a thought about going along, you basically want to see prices just kind of pull back, test this area, and just go higher, and then you can start thinking long. Because we just basically poked out again, and so we still have to be concerned about a long because of the range here. But yeah, so now we get some ugly price action, and we just have to sit and see if we can find any other structures that develop. If this just kind of bounces around here sideways, it's just inconvenient for us to try to find something. So this is probably the best thing I've seen today. But I think I was in the middle of talking, and so it kind of occurred while I was just talking about the price action, and so really hadn't thought about it. I just saw it during that particular time of the video. So anyway, that's what things are looking like right now. I'll leave that on here for the moment, and we'll go from there.
Alright guys, so I took a chance on this guy right here. This is still within the retracement range. I realize this could, because of how bullish this could just pop up here, but I figured it's worth hanging on to a runner here, just in case this is just gets exhausted and pushes back down. I mean, if I could catch, we'll see what happens here. This could very well just pop back up and take out my runner. But I mean, with how big of a move that was down, if we could get something else down here, I mean, that would be a huge runner. So I'm gonna hang on to that and we'll just see what happens. I already got my main contract is my main position is off the board, so we'll see. I think it probably depends if this forms a low or high here, or this could just pop right up. Who knows? It might just want to go higher now. But we got our main position off. I'll probably drag this down to the lower high if we get a lower high here off this. We'll see. I'm gonna pause it though, and because I don't want the video to get super long. Sometimes the last time I held a runner, the video got really long just watching the runner. So I'll come back and update as things happen.
All right, yeah. So it popped up and took our runner. That was kind of aggressive by me, but I was just looking at sometimes these big moves they'll retrace quite a bit further than you would like them to. But anyway, so got the main position off and popped back up here and took out the runner I was holding. Let me just talk about. So I talked about this trade I took, but I didn't talk about what's going on here. So you have this downtrend, and this is way too thin for me to think about taking this here. You barely push down. So this kind of looked like a one leg to me. So I was looking at this more like this, and then that is a second leg. Although this pops up quite a bit, it's still within my retracement thing here. It still comes back to the 61.8 retracement, so it's not uncommon. Um, but yeah, this looked way too thin, and just with how that thing closed and all that stem on there and how strong that pushed up, I mean it does win. And what I was looking for a lower high here to kind of confirm that this was two legs. You do kind of get a lower high there because this can't really see, but this bar gaps up one tick, and so it looks like it just starts there, but it's closed way too low to try to take as a lower high. This closes way too low for me to take on that much risk. And you can see it just would tick you in and then go right back because I was kind of viewing this as one leg. And so we did make this second leg. And now it looks like prices may want to be coming back down here, that's kind of strange. If this dumps, that's kind of strange for that to do that, push up one more little time and then dump down. But it is what it is, I guess. So anyway, that's just how I was viewing that.
Okay, so I stepped away for about an hour and a half. I think when I left, had just done talking about the trade. Look how that just happens to you sometimes. You see, I barely get stopped out of my runner, and then look at it, there it goes. So that probably would have been a pretty decent runner, I think, because this pushes down. It's hard to say. I probably would have held it. Because if I hold through this, I'm probably going to hold through all that. Boy, it's hard to say where I would have taken that off. I probably would move it down there at some point. This actually looks okay here as a trade itself. You get this big, huge move down. right? We get this. That's pretty clean. Then you get that. That's that looks okay to me if you short that right there. Um, I'm not going to say I would have, but it looks pretty good. And then you push down. I don't see anything else in here. And then people may get trapped on this guy here because they see a first attempt, second attempt. And what they tend to do is they put these legs together and make them a bigger channel. And this just looks like, I mean, it's pretty thin, but you can tell there's separation there between those. It's all green bars, one red bar, and all green bars up to there. So that looks like a trend, or I'm sorry, it looks like two legs to me. So I'm sure and then you only have a little bit of room to right there that swing. So I probably would avoid that. Looks like it maybe stops you out temporarily and goes up. And then let's see, all this looks pretty choppy. Choppy, choppy. I don't see anything in here. I like all this. This is all, people get chopped to pieces all day in this stuff, okay? Just like this, when we're moving up, if we have this, we start moving up again, this is pretty hard to trade. It's pretty hard to tell where legs are going to be over and, that's an ugly bar there and you're into the overnight high. Just want to stay out of that stuff. This is the kind of action that you're looking for, clean movements. Honestly, this is probably the best trade the whole day. That one's pretty good too, I think, but I think that one's better. That's the kind of stuff you're looking for, not all this stuff in this chop, um, all this garbage, just too choppy. And you'll see guys on other chart reviews, and they'll be marking stuff in here like, oh yeah, you could have bought whatever. There's that, or there's this, or that looks like two legs, and it's just this is so choppy. There's no direction here. I mean, there's sort of a downward kind of shade to it, but there's nothing clean there that you can take. There's no channels or trends or anything that you can rely on. So all this, unfortunately, all this stuff, there you may watch other traders that put a bunch of arrows on the chart after the fact, and honestly, there's just not too many good trades the way that I'm trading. There's not too many good trades in a day, and those guys they tend to trade the same way. If you've, I'm not going to name names, but some of them have pretty big following, and I just think that going through the chart after the fact and putting little arrows on the chart is not really helping anyone. Um, because that's everything is very easy after the fact. Um, so anyway, that's where we're at, and I'll probably just be back for the post-market wrap up. Again, I missed about an hour and a half of trading. I had to step away, go do some stuff. So probably from here down to here, I wasn't even around. So we'll see how it goes. All right, market's been closed here for a little bit. Um, so pretty much from this right here, quarter after two, you just got a bunch of chop here. Um, I don't really see anything in here I like. There's no consistent structures to trade off of. It has a downward tilt to it, but there's nothing consistent that you can rely on. Um, you have two legs up here, push down. This is just, some people might say you could just short there, but this just looks very boxy and sideways to me. So I could see this turn into a range here, like, but it doesn't. But it's just something that you uh, learn to from experience that what things can happen. So I don't like that there to short that just because there's a swing right here already. And sometimes where these swings are, prices end up bouncing again. So yeah, this is all garbage to me. nothing in there I like. Um, this one here I said I thought was the best. I wasn't around for it. I can see why you wouldn't take it. It's kind of thin. Um, if you drew a trend like that, you might say, "Oh, I think that's blocked," and that's fine if you would be safe that way, and um, that'll help keep you out of losers. But I just think, how, why is that different than this? I think because your your bar is a little bit better here. Um, it's still bearish doji. Um, this one here, you're closing right into the EMA. Price is still, we're not certain that price is going to go down here. We can see the last time we came off the overnight high, maybe we were expecting something that it just started chugging higher. So at this point, I'm not quite sure that price wants to go down yet. Um, you know, maybe something like this could happen to you again. And because we got these two sharp legs up, that's why I took that. I thought, this is still in a reasonable retracement area. So, we could maybe I took a chance. I'm going to tell you that's aggressive there because of how high it is above the EMA and how strong that shot up. I was taking a chance there, hoping that I could catch a runner. I would have, but unfortunately, it stopped my runner out by like 3 ticks before it decided to go down. But anyway, so by this time, when you get this nice sharp push down here, um, we pretty much know now that price wants to go down. It's kind of done trying to go higher. So that's why this is better than this. And here you're clearly under the EMA and prices have pushed into it and it looks like they want to hold it. Where here you've kind of pushed up and you're not quite sure. You're teetering around this overnight high. And here we clearly have a downward bias now. So that's why I think that's pretty good. Um, Other than that, the only other one I liked is this one here. I talked about this one. If get rid of that now. If this had shot up a little bit higher and we got two clear legs of correction, but I'm just not sure that that's not going to want to make a second attempt to go uh, make a more uniform move with this one. So I don't like that, and you're right into this swing here to try to short that. You're just expecting that it's going to break through here and here. These two swings where prices bounced. So I don't like that. Now I have all these red circles on here because I'm in a bunch of different forums, and I talk about these guys who go through afterwards and they mark all these trades. And so these red circles are one of the saw a chart where a guy had like 8 trades marked or something, and this is one also, and that's the only one I really like. This one here, why I don't like this, right into the EMA. This has already made a new low, and you're coming off this support level very strongly, so you could easily get trapped here on a 2, 4, 6, 8 point bar. That's not going to be fun. And I'm pretty certain that that guy did not take that trade right into the EMA. He has this one marked. I don't know why. It's in a bunch of congestion. It's right into the EMA again. This could easily turn into a little range here. It keeps bumping up and down sideways. So I don't like that. It looks great now that you saw prices took off, but I'm pretty sure these people cannot mark these in real time. This one here, you're coming off the overnight high, so your expectation is that you're going to go back down. Um, this little move down has a tiny break in a new low. So the idea there is to buy that, but you're right into the EMA and you're expecting prices to keep going down. So I don't like that one. That's the only one I really think is probably pretty good. This one here, I talked about that. Well, I don't like that one. This one here, you're just buying a green bar after prices go sideways when, we're expecting prices to fade back down into the range. So, I wouldn't buy that because you might expect that this is going to try to make a new low. I mean, you do kind of have a pseudo new low there, but I wouldn't count that really as a break and a new low. It's very just choppy and sideways. And then he's got this thing marked. I'm telling you, never take trades like that. You're going to get, you got one leg up, two legs up, and then you have one leg down, and this is just a little range here. So it looks good after the fact when it pumps up there a little bit, but it doesn't go far, and then it comes back down. And he has this, I guess it's a lower high marked, but it's right into the EMA. We could not fade down here, and now we're just chopping higher. You might even draw a channel, here. I see there's a tiny break there, but that's not necessarily, something you want to count on. And it's right into the trend line. It's right into the EMA. That probably fits pretty decent up there. So I'd say, I mean, again, this could even turn into a range here. You see, it doesn't go far. So you kind of have to recognize the context and not just look at bars that end up, having some momentum follow after them. That's This is the kind of stuff that what I'm trying to show you uh, in these like live kind of reviews throughout the day as I'm analyzing the chart as prices are going, um, progressing uh, through the live price action. This is the kind of stuff I'm trying to help you avoid taking. Um, these hindsight chart reviews where you just mark stuff, people are just marking stuff that ends up, having follow through afterwards, but they're not good trades. You want to just avoid all that stuff. And, I wouldn't, anybody marking anything in here, that's just useless. This is just, you can't tell where prices, you can have, there's a general direction, but you can't tell where the swings are going to end. Um, so yeah, that's about it for today. This is quite a long review because I wanted to touch upon some things at the end here, some stuff I saw. So yeah, we got that little one there. Too bad we got ticked out of our runner. Uh, one of these days I'm going to catch one of these big runners, and it's going to be fun. So I guess I will see you again tomorrow.